Coach, thanks for the intro. And Coach said thanks to Russ. I've known Russ for a long time, and I know most of you guys, but I've kind of been gone for the majority of the last 2 years. But I don't know how well you guys know Coach Van Landingham other than the word on the streets. But I went to the same high school as Russ. I was a little bit younger. A bunch of the guys that played with Russ in high school lived in my neighborhood. And I'm so glad that Russ ended up becoming a basketball coach, because it reminded me that there is an ultimate balance to the universe. When Russ was in high school, our coach, sometimes, for visualization, would like to go through warm-ups and stuff without a ball. Like on game day, we'd have two sides running, the motion offense without a basketball. We're supposed to visualize spacing, spots where guys are supposed to be. So the infamous Russ Van Landingham, as an underclassman, very talented player, got pulled up to the varsity, a very successful program. And, Russ would start down here on short corner, and, he'd receive a little flex cut screen, come out. He's always going 110%, as hard as he can. He'd pop out to the wing. Remember, there's no basketball. The ball's being reversed. Russ would come up here and go, "Come on, baby, let's get a better pass. Let's get a better pass." So he'd run over here, pick up the ball, toss it back up to the point guard. "Let's go, baby, focus, focus." This is an underclassman in a varsity program, perennial playoff team. So I'm so glad he's coaching, because I just hope some of these kids are as creative as he was at driving his coach crazy while he played. But anyway, it's good to see you guys. I'm glad to be here. I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of what I've been up to, what we've been up to. I've got one of my guys here, Dustin Carr. Some of you guys know he's formerly the athletic director at New Braunfels Christian Academy. Joey Tate's another guy that was at Taft High School that's been floating around the planet with us. So I got tired of fighting a lot of the battles you guys fight daily. I had an opportunity to go overseas and start working some camps, doing some clinics, and it just sort of stuck. So in 2010, I made the decision that I was going to try to figure out how to incorporate this international basketball stuff into my regular schedule. And so I really the travel started to become heavy in 2010, 2011. The fall of 2014, I got just busy enough to where some of my contacts overseas started to suggest, "Hey, Chris, you guys can't just be this traveling, basketball circus of American guys going into all the places that the State Department tells you not to travel. You need to legitimize your mission." And so we started this organization called the Basketball Embassy. And the idea was that we would create ambassadors to the game of basketball by not just teaching all the technical X's and O's things on the court, but also we would try to intertwine these intangible elements of hard work and discipline and integrity and teamwork. And so when we travel around to these countries and we work with these federations, I guess that's what makes what we're trying to do a little bit different than maybe the next guy. The other thing that's kind of interesting is right now we're contracted with 5 different national federations. So I work primarily in Turkey, Romania, Bulgaria, Macedonia, and most recently Kosovo. Kosovo is not even recognized by half the world as a country, but FIBA has 215 participating members. So Kosovo is FIBA Europe's newest member. And when they were admitted into FIBA, they decided that they needed to get their act together and have a program so they could start to compete. So that's what I was hired as. Most of the guys around here that I've known for a long time, they still don't understand exactly what I'm doing, but formally my title the last couple of years has been Youth National Team Coordinator for Kosovo. So in doing that, I'm doing what you guys are doing. I'm trying to build a program over there, but I'm doing it for a country instead of a high school. So it's been interesting. It's been an education, and it's been a very rewarding and a very taxing last couple of years. I'm really excited to be home, and then on top of that, I'm excited to be here. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of background. And fellas, if you have any questions at any point, just ask. I don't mind you, you're not interrupting. So just throw your hand up, just yell out, hey coach, whatever. So talking to Cliff and talking to Russ, the idea was that I was going to talk a little bit about some offensive things internationally that may be a little bit different than what we do here domestically. Specifically with the ball screen. The coaches that know me were cracking up when they found out I was going to talk about ball screen offense, because I played at East Central High School, and then I played at Texas Lutheran University for Jim Schuler. Neither of those coaches were strong proponents of the ball screen. So, as a player, we were always told, like, if you're calling for a screen, you're showing weakness because you can't get by your guy. And so if you guys that are familiar with those programs back in the day understand that they were putting up a lot of points and they were getting to the rim. So, but as a coach, I've had to really work on defending the ball screen, because we see so much of it internationally. So scouting is mostly predicated about how are we going to defend the ball screen? What does their point guard do? What do their bigs do? Can they shoot? Can they not? So I'm going to talk today about this with defense in mind, but I'm not going to get into any, defensive schemes on the ball screen. The other thing I wanted to preface this with is these are not my sets. I'm going to show you guys a couple of sets. They're not mine. So before you're ready to say, man, that's a great set, Coach Dial, thanks for it's not mine. I'm showing you what we see the most. And then before you're ready to criticize some action, it's not mine. I'm showing you what we see the most. But most of this is going to look familiar to you. And we've got a great coach here talking about the horns offense today. I'm not going to get into horns, but it is probably right now, if not the most popular, top 2 or 3 most popular sets internationally. Everybody's running horns overseas at established programs. I'm not saying they're running it well, but that's the set they're getting into, and they're trying to get shots out of that. So when you guys are looking at, your teams and your programs and your personnel, there's a couple of things that, I would think you need to think about yourself first. What's your point guard do? I mean, what does he bring to the table? Can he shoot it or can he not? That's going to have a lot to do with your screening angles, where you want the screen set, and then what do your screeners do? What are they capable of? Can they shoot it? Can they finish at the rim? Can they catch? These are things that you guys have to kind of go through when you're figuring out if you're going to be a ball screen team. The biggest difference, I always hear people, like I was just talking to a couple guys in the hallway, like, well, coach, but kids overseas are a lot more, fundamentally are a lot more sound than kids in the States. Fellas, it's not actually true. They're really not. I thought the same thing, but then go live over there for 2 years and immerse yourself in it. What they're better at is what they're required to do. And what they're required to do is pass the damn ball. And we predicate everything in America for the most part off the dribble. I mean, we dribble more than any country in the world, and we win more than any country in the world. So, the common logic tells you, well, if you're dribbling a lot, you're winning a lot. The truth is, and analytical statistics will tell you that that's not true. The team that moves the ball more is usually going to win more. Kids overseas grow up swinging the ball. Over here, we have to have drills. When I was a high school coach, I was a high school coach here for 15 years. We have to have drills to teach ball reversals. They don't do that over there. They do that automatically. It makes sense to them. You don't score on the first side of the floor. You're going to reverse that ball and you're going to score on the third side of the floor. The more established programs do it better. If you want to get on Google and look up Slovenian youth basketball, you're going to see a lot of 15-year-olds catching and facing in triple threat and swinging the ball around the perimeter like it's the artwork we praise our very own San Antonio Spurs for. But these kids are good at that because that's what they're required to do. We don't require our youth to do that. So our youth are really good at putting together YouTube videos about how to handle the ball in a stationary position. And then that's what we usually do on the court. So, and again, these are generalizations. I'm not here to criticize one method or the other. This is just sort of a reality. You guys always hear that extra pass term. We call it the hockey assist. In hockey, it's not always the guy that passes to the score. It's the guy that passed to the guy that passes to the score. That's become more evident in the game internationally. Kids are trying to make the extra pass. When we feed the post, and I'll talk a little bit about this today, we call a European ball screen. The guy comes up to set the pick and he rolls. It's not going to be the point guard. It's not going to be the guy that received the screen that's going to make this pass. 8 times out of 10, he's going to hit the wing, and this guy's going to dive, and the pass is going to be fed across the wing. It's going to make guys like old Eddie Sutton at Oklahoma State happy because he's feeding across the line and not down the line. So it's that extra pass or that hockey assist that kind of predicates international basketball or distinguishes it between, what we see here in the States for the most part. So I just want to go over a couple of vocab terms to make sure you guys, it's not that you don't know what they are, but everybody has their different nuggets and lingo. And then I'm going to grab these 4 guys and we're going to go through a couple of things. And Dustin, I might get you to help me. I know you're prepared for that, but coaching and playing like you've been doing. So Dustin over here, by the way, not only coached kids, he actually went over there to help grow a youth program and ended up being a senior men's professional team coach. So that kind of stuff happens too. So pick his brain during the breaks because he's had an incredible experience. All right, so I'll talk a little bit about side pick and roll, and I'll talk a little bit about middle pick and roll. We had a lot more success overseas running middle pick and rolls in the middle third. It put the defense at a tough spot. They had to communicate a little bit more. They got really good at defending side pick and rolls. There is a ton of information on the internet about how to ice a ball screen. There's a ton of information on the internet about trapping on the wings. So middle pick and rolls tended over there to be a little bit more successful. For you guys here, I don't know. If I was going to run it, I always preferred to do it in the middle of the floor. One thing that we're seeing right now, and the last couple of weeks I've been to a couple of Spurs practices, and the Spurs embody international basketball mainly because half of their team and staff are from somewhere else. But one thing that's pretty popular right now is this short roll. I just want to make sure you guys know what I mean when I'm talking about this. Let me get 2 of you guys, all right? Doesn't matter. 1 ball. Okay. So on this short roll scenario, instead of having guys dive to the rim, if this guy's on the elbow and this guy's going to receive the screen, he comes up and sets this pick, all right? He uses the screen. You're going to open up with the pick and roll, okay? And instead of running to the rim, these guys are short rolling here to this opposite elbow, hands ready, and they're stopping, okay? So this short roll is becoming more popular here. The Spurs are going to do that a lot this year with Aldridge. They're going to, that was a Boris Diaw kind of set for them. But overseas, this is pretty common as well. The reason is, let me have one more of you guys, no basketball. Okay, set that pick and roll up, guys, one more time. Start here, short corner. All right, hold on, guys, good. Go back. Another term that you might hear me say showing these sets, a couple of these sets, is this circle action. We don't have a real good name for it, but it's this half moon under the basket rim run that you guys probably see more often. But as this pick and roll is being set overseas, this guy's going to read this, and he's going to roll under the rim behind the backboard, and he's going to reestablish here. So we got a short roll there, and we've got this circle action coming underneath. If this point guard does his job, then we're going to be able to get this pick and pop guy. Instead of a 3, they're going to get that elbow jump shot. And if this guy loses his man underneath, he's putting his defender in a tough spot because he's supposed to be being aggressive, getting in this gap. A lot of times they get that dump for that power layup right there. So that's the short roll I'm talking about. This is the circle action that I'll be referring to. Go ahead and set that up again, guys, one more time. Now, the other thing, guys, and this is, I'm glad you guys are eager. I'll try to get you guys moving a little bit. The other thing that you're going to see a lot more overseas than you see here is the rescreen. And I know for a fact when I was a high school coach, we did not rescreen the ball very often. In fact, if we did, we probably did it inadvertently, and a lot of times it resulted in me yelling at somebody for not getting somewhere else. Because I've always liked the screener to get the heck out, dive to the rim, replace, pop. But in international ball, they'll rescreen a lot. Whereas here, if you've got a point guard that can't shoot it, this guy can probably shoot it, but let's say he couldn't, and they set this pick, this defender, this ball defender is always going to go under. Go ahead. Okay, he's still rolling over. He's going to go under to protect the shooter. Instead of that short roll or that rim run or that dive, what this guy will do is reestablish himself and he'll rescreen here. So it's done a couple of things. One thing, we've gone from, I'm still in Europe, but we've gone from a 6 meter, to a 5 meter situation here, okay? The other thing that it does is it allows this point guard to work on this mismatch a little bit. The disadvantage of a short roll is when you're playing a team that's switching. I mean, a short roll, not a short roll, guys, I'm sorry. I only have 1 cup of coffee. The disadvantage of the rescreen is if you're playing a team that switches, you don't want to rescreen because you'll get back to your original matchup. If he comes off here and he's got that mismatch, you'll see teams that are so used to rescreening, they'll screen right back into their original situation and they lose their mismatch. A lot of this rescreen depends on what kind of point guard you have. Most of you guys are aware that Cliff went over this summer and coached the U18 national team for Macedonia. I don't think most people here probably still don't realize what an incredible opportunity that was and how much it says about Cliff for him being able to do that and do it well and do it successfully. They finished 23rd last year in the European Championships, and this year they finished 16th, which is that's a huge movement for a 1 year, especially giving a guy a month to go over there and prepare him. But Cliff had a great point guard. He had a point guard that he really read this pick and roll right. So a rescreen for him, what it allowed him to do a lot of times is when that first pick got set and this guy went underneath, and then when he came back around, even with the switch again, it allowed him to go ahead and use it again. You're going to set it a little bit lower. It allowed him to get this guy on his hip a little bit, kind of wait that extra second or two. We'd get that circle action back, and then he was able to create a shot or get a dump or, or they short roll the second or pop the second. So anyway, these are just some terms, again, that you'll see within, a couple of the sets. So, and again, guys, if you got any, questions, comments, or concerns, just throw them out there so you guys can set that back up. All right, Coach, I'm going to use you if you don't mind. I'm going to get you out here, big boy. You're going to be right here. Okay, actually you get it up here above the nail. You're going to be right here. Coach, I'll have you out here. Yeah, we'll just kind of walk them through. And then you're going to play right here in front of the rim. And I made a couple of modifications, but just speak up too if I'm screwing something up. All right, so this is a very common, man, we saw this all the time, and Dustin and I were laughing because we're spending time trying to teach some traditional continuous motion sets here. And remember, a 24-second shot clock, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but when you got kids that are, imagine your middle schoolers playing with a 24-second shot clock. And then imagine what kind of players they're going to come to you as. It just changes everything. All the sets, I mean, I was going to tease big Mike Wacker if he was here because, he's stepping into a bigger shot clock, but he's got a shot clock now. So he's going to have to change some of the things that he does. You can't run a continuous motion set for, through 3 ball reversals because it's a turnover. We saw this set so often that we actually threw up the white flag and we just absorbed it because every kid, in Macedonia and Kosovo and Romania, every kid already knew this set. So we just called it Diamond. I'm going to post these notes for you guys too. I don't want to make you lazy. I'm glad you guys are writing some stuff down. But we're about to have a functioning Facebook page, so I'm going to post these notes on that Facebook page. And if you're not a Facebook guy, you may have to bite the bullet and get one of those. But we call it the Balkans, and the Balkans is just southeastern Europe. So all these teams run this. So what you're going to see in this Balkan set is you're going to have your point guard up top. Your 2-man, usually this is going to be your shooter. He's going to be above the nail. Your 3-man's going to be at the rim. You're going to have a 4 and a 5, kind of this mid to high post. And we've seen this accentuate all the way out to the wing, and we've seen them hugged up on the lane line. We've seen them 1 foot in the paint. It's kind of a preference, to the coach. So on this Balkan set, you're going to have this 4-man come set a little pin down screen for this 3, okay? And the three's going to pop out here, and that guard's going to work, and we're going to get the ball over here to this three-man, okay? Now, after that, 5, you're setting a little flare screen here for the 2. And this 2's going out. This is kind of happening simultaneously. I'm compartmentalizing this a little bit. After he hits this pick, and this is another preference point, I've seen the 5, you're going to set a back screen here. And I've seen this being set for a screen away or a ball side screen, because in the meantime, coach, after he pinned down, he's going to come out here and he's going to get a wing pick and roll, a side pick and roll. So freeze right there, ball handler. Now, either way, whether you guys run this guy weak or you guys run this guy strong, the idea is to get him through the rim. We want to make sure, I mean, the more successful teams are getting a foot in the rim right here, okay? And this is what you guys see, you know, respect to Tim Duncan, we're already talking about him, but you know, he'd set that pick, Parker would come through here, Parker would slip away, and then Parker would turn right back, and we would get that little dump for that little reverse layup. So after he gets here, though, ultimately he's going to get out. He's going to go short corner and check, and then he's going to get out to the perimeter. So now off of this pick and roll, usually he's going to go here unless he rejects it. 5 is going to pop. Remember, in Europe or international play, most of the time this is a shooter. This is a guy that can still shoot the ball. If this is not a shooter, you've got to be prepared for the defense to really kind of clog this pick and roll here. If you don't have a shooter here, I would move this guy somewhere else and put a guy that can knock a shot down, just to keep everybody honest on the defensive side. If he doesn't get anything out of this pick and roll, okay, he's going to swing it here, all right? You're going to show high. You're popping out now, okay? This guy on a hard dribble, we're going to send him through. He's going to cut through the rim. You're going to come up and get this pass. You guys are clocking up, and again, this is a preference issue. You can get some weak side exchanges here if you want. You're going to check short corner first, and then you're going to get out, and you're going to follow that with the ball screen. Okay, now we've got a side ball screen here. He's going to use it. This guy can dive, he can roll, he can rescreen. If we don't get it, we're kicking. Coach is going to slash. You're going to come up, you're going to pass. You're going to pass a little earlier, it's okay. You're going to come set a pick and roll, and then we're going to side ball screen. So this is one of the, this diamond set, this Balkan set we call it, this is a continuous set. And it's one of the few that you'll see when you're watching, I don't know how many games you guys caught on the Rio Olympics, but there's not a lot of resetting offenses, especially at that level. But I'm trying to make this a little bit more relevant to you guys coaching high school or young kids. So this is a continuous set that you can run, and it will reset itself. You can teach kids to get to spots, and it's going to get you that side pick and roll action the whole time. Coaches, I've seen this run against 2-3 zones. I've seen it work. You've got to be able to screen the right guys in the zone, and you've got to resituate your cuts a little bit. But anyway, this is that. We'll go through it one more time, that Balkan set. You guys set it back up. We're going to go real slow, fellas. Just let these coaches get a look at it. Okay? All right. So we're going to get that screen down. There's your flare screen. Dribble that way. Let's hit the 3. Good. Okay. He's cutting through. Check the rim. Good. Short corner first, then pop. Good. Take a hard dribble. Send him back door. Pass. Follow your pass. Side pick and roll. Good. He's going through. Good. All right, hit your little roller right here. Let's get a layup. All right, good. Okay, so he would score, dunk it, whatever. All right. So that's the first set I was going to show you guys. All right, it's a pretty simple little set. The second one that we saw a lot, and the Spurs run this too. And I mean, I didn't want to come, 6,670 miles back to San Antonio to talk about stuff that San Antonio Spurs do, but they just happen to do a lot of really good stuff, and this is one of the more popular sets. The first time I saw this, it was phrased to me as Argentina, and this was Ginobili and Scola, in their set, and you guys will be familiar, probably some of you guys will be familiar with this. So just a little bit about the set. I tried to make some functional notes here for you guys. So again, we'll have the point guard up top. This time, Coach is the 4, so we'll have Coach you'll be off the midline a little bit. Coach will be in this 4 trail spot. We're going to have the 2. We'll make you the 2. I know you guys are out of position. That's all right. It's good for you. We'll make you the 2 over here. We're going to have the 5. You're good right where you're at, except you need to be opposite the ball. And 3, you're going to be same side as 4. So it's kind of a spread set. So in this Argentina set, basically you're going to have this 4-man. And one thing, coaches, one point I wanted to make is also when you guys get into the thick of your season, you got to really address like what your transition break looks like, because it's going to have a lot to do with what you're going to be able to run in a half-court set. I know that's cliche and I know it's obvious. One thing you will not see a lot in international basketball is you're not going to see a ball side low corner in transition. And that's a little different than here. I mean, I know for sure when I was running transition break, we'd pitch it ahead, we'd flatten out the defense if we could get a layup. If not, we'd flatten it out to that 6-foot window, and then we'd start working our trail guys into our cut, ball side post or first post down would go ball side or go opposite. But in international play, a lot of times they don't occupy that ball side corner. They leave it open, and they'll go right into a drag screen pick and roll. And I'll talk a little bit about that if we have time. But I just wanted to mention that because your transition break is going to have a lot to do with what you're able to do. All right, so when the Spurs are running this is Parker and this is Green usually. You know, when Argentina ran this, they had a handful of great point guards, and then they would make Ginobili that opposite 3 guy most of the time. So the 1 is going to go ahead and hit this 2, and he's going to slash through. And that 4 is going to kind of go screen down and away for the 3 coming up. You're going to pass. You're going to come up. You want to catch. We want to catch. Try to catch free throw line extended out here. Okay. So you're going to be here, and you're going to slash through. Now, one of my, I do these clinics in other countries too, and I always challenge these coaches. This is such a wasted cut a lot of times. They pass, head turns, and they're just getting out. And a lot of coaches want that. I mean, just get the heck out of here and get out. We've been working with our coaching staffs over there. This is still a very functional cut and transition. If you're going to make this, if you're going to run this, I would step to it and show hands, at least try to make this guy get honest. At least try to get him to not let him cut your face. And then this guy can still get out and clear out of the way. So after he makes that pass, he's cutting through. He's showing his hands just like Coach talked about. Good. You're coming up, flashing up to the elbow. Coach is going to screen away there. 3's coming up. All right, good. 2, you're going to take a hard dribble here. You're going to hit this 3-man. Okay. Now, after 1 cuts through, he's going to get opposite that ball. So you're cutting through here. You're going all the way out. You're going to see 4 set the first screen to get the 3 open. 4 sets the screen. Now getting this point guard open on the opposite wing. So you're catching and facing. 5, you're still at the elbow. And I've seen this, guys, when I was doing the notes for this, and the reason this becomes difficult is because of the coach's preference, man. You got so many different wrinkles. So many guys do this different ways. So this 5 now is going to follow up here with this ball screen. We've got our 2 in the corner, and again, even the action on the 2 varies depending on who you do it. Spain, Argentina, Lithuania, this is always going to be a clock down to the corner, almost 9 times out of 10. Some of these guys are running this guy up high now to the coach's box, and they're looking for a DHO off of this ball screen. So again, that's sort of a preference. I don't want to overload you with options, but this is one thing they're looking at. Now, when the Spurs run this, they'll get that circle action underneath from this guy. Okay, that's not what all the teams overseas are doing, but Serbia, they played in the gold medal game. This would be their action on that top pick and roll right there. He's going to circle action underneath. So I want to look at this real quick before I show you kind of the next thing. So you guys step back into this where we started. Okay. So again, he's starting low. This is one of the rare sets where we've got a ball side low corner in transition. He's going to come up and get it. You're going to pass. make your cut, you're going to get out. Force screening down there. This guy's coming up. We're going to pass up top. He's coming through. There's your pick and roll. There's your circle action, and again, freeze. This guy, most of the time, is going to short roll right here to that mid-lane pick and pop spot, okay? That guy's going to circle under. You're the shooter in the corner. And again, you know, they'll run this against the zone set as well, okay? Now, if you guys can set that back up real quick. On this one, the only other wrinkle on this one is he's going to pass, okay? Same thing. We're going to pass, cut through. All right, 5, step up. He's screening away. All right, 1, freeze, okay? Now, 3's going up to the top to receive it. And again, this was Ginobili when Argentina was running this, okay? Now, on this one, as you penetrate and pass there, okay, and there comes my ball screen, coach is actually going to roll short corner here, or just slide. He's going to slide out. This guy is watching this pick and roll. Instead of this circle action, he's relocated right here mid-lane opposite, and as he's using that screen roll, he's back picking the 5, okay? So the ball screener is going to get a back screen, all right? So you're coming up. So after you set that pick, set that screen again. Good. His man's here. You're picking. You're diving. We're clocking here and here. And this guy's movement kind of depends on what this ball handler does. You know, the placement of the ball. Most of the time we tell him to slide into his video. We tell him to try to get into a spot where he can see him. So he'll get right in there, but we're looking at that if we can get it, and if not, this guy is still a threat because we're in Europe and everybody can shoot, right? So guys, one more time, just look at that. This is the same set that Argentina set, but it's got a back screen for the ball screener, okay? All right, here we go. So he's going to pass it to 2. He's going to get out. Good. Sit right there on that rim. Good. Screen. It's got to be 1-2. Good. Timing's real important. And then we'll get that, okay? So that's another one that we saw quite a bit, especially in the European Championships. Just so you guys know the way that works too, in youth basketball, they divide this up. FIBA divides it up. U16 is the equivalent of basically your juniors and under. U18 would be your varsity team, but there'd be a couple of dudes that might be too old to play. Not too old by the numbers, but they would have already graduated. And then there's U20, which is basically your developmental team for your senior men, and then there's your senior team. So the teams we see in Rio obviously are the senior teams. We coached quite a bit at the U18 and U16 level. European championships are divided up into 3 divisions, A, B, and C. C division is usually your developing countries, and you're not going to see a ton of this. You're going to see diamond. You're not going to see too much Argentina, and you're not going to see too much transition break. And it's not because of a lack of coaching or ability. It's because of the resources they have involved in preparation for those tournaments. B division is a huge division. It's the biggest one. The one that Dustin and I just got done coaching in was 24 teams. Joey Tate, who's not here yet, was also coaching the Macedonian team in that. And then the U18 tournament is the one that Cliff coached in, is another big tournament, 24 teams. So when you're playing 8 games in 10 days and you're looking at this Argentina set 6 different ways, but everybody's got their own wrinkle off of it. They're going to add that back screen for the ball screener. They're going to add some weak side action, a pin down on the weak side or a flare screen on the weak side. Some of them are going to go right into a drag screen in transition to set this play up. So before the 1 even makes the pass to the 2, he's already received a pick from the 4 in transition, who's then popped, and now we're running our set. So getting there, is a matter of preference as well. Cliff, how am I doing on time, man? Okay. All right, I don't want to go into anybody else's. Any questions on this one? Now, obviously, when the Spurs run this, they'll run it short, they'll run it strong, they have a step away, they do a lot of different things with this. I'm not going to get into all that today. But there's one more set that I wanted to show you guys, and I'm just going to call it Euro 1, and this is another one that we saw. The teams that were in Joey's group actually ran this more than the teams that were in my group. We had 2 teams in our group, Slovenia and the Ukraine, that ran this set, but Joey had 3 or 4 teams in his. So in this set, we're going to get the 1 up top. You want to be the 1 now, man? Come on, get up here. We'll let you run the point. All right, come on. All right, so we're going to have the 1 up top. 2s and 3s are going to be here. We're going to have the 4 kind of short corner, 5 elbow, okay? 5 elbow. So again, I'm just calling this Euro for today, Euro 1. And this is another very popular set over there. So as this point guard's coming down, this 5's going to turn instead of screening. This 4 is going to make a little L cut here. He's going to kind of show under the basket, and then he's going to come right up the gut here, and we're going to feed him in this high post area, okay? So you'll make that pass. Good, okay? Now, 5, after you did that, you're going to roll back up, and you're going to set a back screen here, okay? 1, you're going to go through, and we're looking for this here. If we can get it, we'll get it. If not, you're active, you're showing your hands, you want the ball. This guy, you can move up just a little for spacing. When he catches it right there is good, okay? Now, if he doesn't get it, he's going to clear opposite, and 2, you're going to clock up here, okay? Just get that movement there. All right. Now, from this spot, and this, again, this is a very popular set, there's like a bazillion things that these teams will do, okay? I'm gonna show you the 3 that we saw the most, the 3 most popular, okay? The first one here, this becomes a catch and face. We look off that point guard if he's not open, and we'll go right into a dribble handoff here. And that 3 is gonna come up and get it, and he's gonna turn and attack, and Dustin's rim running off of there, okay? So that dribble handoff action is the first option, or the one that we saw quite a bit, and that's usually a 4-3. So it's, you know, arguably maybe your guy that finishes at the rim the best, and your 4-man that can still handle it a little bit in case he needs to keep it and scoop. Now, what these coaches will do with these guys out here is totally dependent on, you know, what they want to do. What we saw the most is if he doesn't get anything off this, he kicks it here, and now we're in Balkans. Now we're in diamond. So if he kicked it here, this guy would go back door, okay, go ahead and pass. This guy would pop up. These guys are good. We would pass there. We'd follow it with the ball screen, and we're in diamond. You would clock up here, okay? So that's off of that 4 high post entry. We'd run that dribble handoff, and then they're looking at getting into that diamond set, okay? Set that back up, guys, real quick. The second option, try to get through these real quick and finish up for you guys. I appreciate you guys coming early. So here he comes. He'll catch and face. Okay, he's still cutting through. We're looking for that. Now, freeze right there. Another little wrinkle we saw that we really liked is that point guard coming back to re-back screen, you know, off of that cut. He'd back screen the 5 for a lob, and then that puts your point guard up top on that kick. Okay, so that's not a bad little option. But anyway, on this one, 3 would just pop and get open, and coach would hit him out there on the wing, and we'd go right into a side ball screen here. Okay, so we had the dribble handoff first, now we got a side ball screen, and we would still get that same diamond or Balkans action on the reversal. So dribble handoff first, ball screen second. All right, set it back up one more time, guys. I think I said I'll show you 3. I'll show you guys one more. So he hits him on this one. All right, now on this one, the 3 is actually going to show this dribble handoff or show the receive pass here, and he's going to go hard back door. Okay, so we're going to try to get that back door. If we don't get it, kick it back to coach. If we don't get it, you're going to sit on the rim for a second. Okay, 5, you pop. We're going to swing here. Okay, now on this swing, 5, you're going to reverse it. Okay, I'm sorry, right here. Okay. And then 5, you're going to follow and get that little pick and roll. Now, freeze. If what most of these teams would do is have this guy show here and you're in a big overload, and then on that pick and roll, we would get this circle action underneath. He'd short roll to the short corner. He'd go here and he'd move up, and you're that shooter in the corner, okay? So you step in another step right in here, okay? Right in here, all right? So then we got the shooter in the corner. So you guys just walk through that real quick again, okay? All right. So he's hitting him there. Good. Okay, he goes back door. Go ahead, hard cut, good. Okay, sit on the rim, sit on the rim. Now show here. Here comes your pick and roll. Here comes your circle action, short roll, find that short corner, good, okay? And then we're going from there, okay? I'm going to show you guys one more. Cliff told me I had like 5 minutes left. And this one was probably my favorite, but my guys were too dumb to do this successfully, so we never really got to run this, but it hurt us a couple of times. We'll start the play the same way. So go ahead and set that pick. Here comes your 4 coming out. And you guys can mix this up. It doesn't have to be that L-cut action every time, obviously. Catch and face. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and cut through. We're going to go into that dribble handoff. When we get that handoff, I want you guys to freeze. All right, stop. Hold on. Okay, so the 1 you got through here, okay, and the 5's here, the 2's clocking up. Now, the last option, the one I like the best is, these guys, as that dribble handoff was happening, every step that this guy came over to hand that ball off, these guys were stepping forward, so you didn't clear out. You're stepping here, you got to the rim, yep, you got to the rim and you're stepping here. I really liked this set when we first saw it really hurt us. Off of that dribble handoff, this is going to become a pick and roll. So we got a dribble handoff into a pick and roll, and he's back picking this guy here. And this, you keep coming and attack the nail, and we're looking for this little action. You got a shooter out here. This is your 2, and then you've got your 4 coming under off of that back screen. Okay, so let's walk through that again, fellas, real quick. This is a nice little set. If your guys can make a layup. Okay, catch and face, good. There's the dribble handoff. Here's your pick and roll, good. We'd short roll him, good. And I've seen pin down screens for again, you can get a screen to screener, you can loop curl this guy, that guy's going underneath. So anyway, that was the Euro set, okay? Any questions on that? Hey, give these guys just a couple of claps for putting up with me. All right. You guys can have a seat for a second. I'll finish up here. Anyway, fellas, I got a lot more stuff. I'm going to post this stuff for you guys. I'll try to get it cleaned up, and I've got a few diagrams here that maybe they'd be of interest to you. Again, those aren't really necessarily, we ran some of that, but that's not really my stuff. I'm just trying to share with you what I was asked to share, which was what I saw the most. And that's, we saw a lot of that. Again, keep this in context. We weren't coaching senior men. We were coaching U18 and U16. I thought that would be the most relevant and most applicable to what you guys are dealing with on a daily basis. So I guess, guys, just wrapping it up, again, I wanted to say thanks for, getting here early on a Saturday. Most of you guys were probably drinking last night, and it's good that you guys came out, especially way the heck out here. I am planning on being around for this basketball season, and people ask me, Chris, what are you up to, man? What are you doing? My plan is to try to get around and watch as many practices as I can, and just enjoy not being the guy screaming and enjoy being the guy watching. So, if any of you guys are willing to let me slide in and watch, I know I kind of speak for Dustin when I'm saying this. He's probably going to be busy here pretty quick. And Joey, who knows, we may send him back to China. I don't know, but I'm going to try to be in town. The thing that I would leave you guys with, fellas, is, for whatever it's worth, all the time. I just got off a conference call 2 days ago with Turkey. The Turkish Basketball Federation is doing this really cool project where they've done a series of research throughout Europe, Western Europe, Northern Europe, and they're trying to determine what different federations are doing well in regards to developing youth basketball. So it's really interesting. They're going to put the results out, and I'll get them translated, and if any of you guys are interested in that, I'll share it with you. I'm very interested in it. They used me, for whatever reason, just familiarity, to talk about what USA basketball does to develop basketball in the United States. And it was an interesting conversation because USA basketball does not operate the same way that the Turkish Basketball Federation operates, or most of these federations. USA basketball is not in charge directly of developing our youth here in the United States. So I had to talk to him a little bit about what it looks like here. I'm not a USA I'm a licensed coach, but I'm not affiliated with the organization. I still haven't even been to the facilities in Colorado Springs, but I had to tell him a little bit about what's going on. The conclusion, I guess, or part of the conclusion, that one of the main reasons, guys, that we are as successful as we've been, other than the sheer numbers, other than having 330 million people to choose from, other than this competitive, youth spirit, other than the fact that we literally, even in the poorest neighborhoods, have a hoop on almost every corner, other than the fact that almost every kid, regardless of how poor they are, still have access to a basketball. Other than those glaring, realities, we have developed a professional network here. I mean, we share information. We get around and visit each other's practices. We communicate about this game in the off season, during the season, and over there they don't do that at all. If you and I are in the same league and we're in the middle of Bulgaria and my club's playing your club, I will never share information with you, and you will never share it with me. I will never watch one of your practices. I will never ask you to come watch or critique one of my practices because we're opponents. Now, I understand that in the Thika district, Churchill's not going to go watch a Johnson practice or vice versa. I'm not being unrealistic. But one of the challenges for this coaches association is to try to drum up some interest and drum up, creating some avenues for you guys to continue to network and share with one another. When I'm fortunate enough to hang out with some of the guys that have been doing this for a really long time, one of the things maybe that they tell you over a cup of coffee or a sweet tea is that we just don't network the way that those guys used to network. And so I challenge and I encourage you guys to continue to grow within the profession, continue to open yourselves up to criticisms, continue to communicate with guys that may not be your best friends, but that might be doing something well. I mean, everybody here does something better than the other guy. Some guys are great zone guys, some guys are great defensive guys, some guys are great transition guys. We have such an incredible opportunity here. I don't mean to go up on a soapbox, but I've been traveling around the world where these coaches just do not have an opportunity to share information. They can get whatever they can get off of YouTube or the internet, but they can't go over it with somebody. They can't go watch a practice. We have that opportunity. We have that resource, and we probably don't use it to its fullest extent. So anyway, that's pretty much my time, but I appreciate your attention. If you guys, I'll be here all day if you want to, talk about anything else. I'm looking forward to catching up with several of you. And, again, thanks to the Coaches Association and thanks to Coach V for having me out, man. I appreciate it, guys.